What if I told you that in less than a single generation, an entire continent was taken over, divided, and ruled by outsiders? That the borders on the map of Africa today were drawn by European men who had never set foot there, and that the effects of those decisions are still shaping our world right now. This is the story of European colonies in Africa, a story that still lives in today's borders, economies, and conflicts. To understand our world, we must first understand how and why Africa was colonized. Long before Europeans arrived, Africa was a continent full of civilizations. Kingdoms rose, empires expanded, and trade routes crossed deserts and oceans. The Mali Empire was so wealthy that its ruler Mansa Musa disrupted entire economies with his gold. Cities like Timbuktu were global centers of learning. Great Zimbabwe stood as a massive stone city, a testament to sophisticated engineering. Africa was not behind. Africa was different. By the 19th century, Europe's Industrial Revolution created an insatiable hunger for raw materials: rubber, cotton, copper, and diamonds. European nations were also locked in a fierce competition for global power, and colonies became symbols of national pride. Africa became the prize. This rivalry peaked in the late 19th century, in what became known as the Scramble for Africa. In just a few decades, nearly 90% of the continent fell under European control. The defining moment was the 1884 Berlin Conference. European leaders gathered and with maps and rulers, drew lines across the continent. Not a single African was invited. Communities were split, and rival societies were forced together. What mattered was avoiding war between European powers, not protecting African lives. Colonial economies were designed for one purpose: extraction. Railways were built to move resources to ports, not to connect African communities. Africans were taxed and forced into harsh labor in mines and on plantations. In the Belgian Congo, King Leopold II's demand for rubber led to a system of terror where millions died. It was all justified as a civilizing mission. But the idea that Africa was passively conquered is a myth. All across the continent, Africans resisted. The Zulu kingdom famously defeated the British army. Ethiopia defeated Italy, preserving its independence and becoming a symbol of African resistance worldwide. Europe didn't colonize Africa because it was weak. It colonized Africa because it was valuable. After 2 world wars weakened European powers, independence movements grew stronger. One by one, African nations gained freedom. But they inherited borders that made no sense and economies dependent on their former rulers. The legacy of colonization didn't disappear, it transformed, yet Africa endured. Cultures survived, music evolved, and histories were reclaimed. European colonization was one of the most consequential events in human history. Understanding it isn't about assigning guilt, it's about seeking truth. So, what kind of world would we live in today if Africa had been allowed to develop on its own terms? If this story challenged what you thought you knew, share your perspective in the comments. And for more content that explores the forces shaping our world, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.